Welcome back to Dropped In. I am so grateful to be here with you today. And before we drop in, I want to preface that today's conversation involves some conversation around trauma and some of the tools that I have utilized and that I've received and have embodied and integrated to support myself in healing through this trauma. So wanted to give you a heads up prior to you dropping in with me that this conversation is heavy, and that if you would love to drop out before we drop in, please do so now. So today, what kept coming through to share was the importance of really listening to your body and to really come into the space of trusting your body's guidance, trusting the language in which your body speaks. And in a very short period of time, I had a series of traumatic events that happened, and this was only 5 years ago. And in a very short period of time, I lost my father to cancer. And leading up to the passing of him, there was a lot of traumatic events that were happening within my family system. There was a lot of traumatic events that was occurring in the passing of my father that led up to it. And there was a lot of traumatic events that occurred when my father was passing. In the same breath, about 6 months after, we had a fatal accident with our new puppy. And we lost our puppy, who was only 8 weeks old. And that was, again, beyond traumatizing. And then 6 months after that, when I was working as a nurse, yes, we are trained and equipped to resuscitate individuals back to life, and we are trained and equipped to do all the things that nurses do. But it's different when it's one of your dear friends and colleagues who suddenly becomes your patient. It puts a different twist on things, it puts a different spin on things, and it puts a whole different energy and pressure on things. And so 6 months after the passing of my dog, I was at work and one of my dear friends went into cardiac arrest. And because of the facility that I worked at, we are literally in the middle of nowhere. We are about 30 minutes from receiving any support from paramedics. And so myself and a new staff member, brand new staff member who was getting trained, who wasn't a nurse, we worked on this individual, our dear friend, my dear friend, for 30 minutes. He actually coded and we brought him back to life. And that event shook me to the core. And perhaps it was the lead up from the energy and the leftover experiences from my dad and then from our dog. But I just knew that I just felt so rocked to my core. And I knew that I obviously needed some serious support outside of what I had to offer myself. And I knew the power because of my experience with what I saw at the treatment center that I was working at, from what I was sharing with them with the Kundalini Yoga, how it works so effectively in healing the body and releasing the trauma on a deep somatic level. And I also saw the results from these clients that were receiving somatic experiencing therapy from one of the therapists that was working at the facility. I knew that in order to process all of this trauma that my body was holding on to, I had to go and start from the bottom up, meaning I had to release this trauma that my body was holding on to as a trauma response from all of this trauma that my body had gone through, what my nervous system had gone through, what I had gone through. I knew I had to start from the bottom up. I couldn't go and sit and talk to a counselor or a therapist about these experiences. My body, I had to release this energy from my physical body, because I know, again, from the work that I teach and preach and practice and integrate and embody on myself and everything that I'm trained in, I knew I needed the support from a trusted therapist. And so and this is, again, a side note, why I'm so passionate about the work that I facilitate, because I support individuals from the bottom up. We don't just dive right into talking and the subconscious work. We start from the bottom up and really learning to trust the language in which our bodies speak, to really trust the sensations and the feelings, and really coming into a space of embodied self-awareness. And so thankfully, I have and still have my beautiful somatic therapist who was able to help me release this trauma through my body, through the practice of somatic releasing, somatic experiencing. And so 5 years later, here I am speaking about these events and these experiences, and there's no charge there, there's no energy there, there's emotion there. Yes, of course, I have memories, but there's no charge, there's no activation, there's no trigger. And so this is the power of working from the bottom up. And this is the power of really learning to trust your body's wisdom and to trust the energies and the emotions and the felt sense that our bodies are indicating to us, and to get ourself into that regulated state through working with the vagus nerve through polyvagal theory. And so this is something that I am so passionate about, something I'm so fascinated by, something that I integrate obviously with Kundalini Yoga, and I also am integrating through more studies to better support myself and of course my clients. But this is the power of supporting people from the bottom up. Because if I went into that room and spoke with a therapist of all the things that were occurring, it would have reactivated me. It probably would have perhaps caused more trauma, and it would have kept me in a place of feeling stuck and stressed and stagnant. And so your body holds the sacred key, it holds the wisdom to invite this healing in. And when we find the trusted people to support us on this deep healing, a deep energetic emotional level, it's unbelievable what can occur. No longer riddled with anxiety, no longer riddled with flashbacks or depression. And I do have the tools in place to continue to support my body in feeling these emotions and feeling these sensations and feeling these thoughts that are being processed on a deep cellular level. And so this is the power of working from the bottom up. This is the power of embodied self-awareness. And this is the power of working with trusted people, trusted therapists, trusted practitioners on your journey, on your healing journey, on your return home to your self-sourced power. And what's beautiful is that you can gain these tools to support yourself, to self-regulate yourself, to come into spaces where you can co-regulate with others. And having these tools to recognize, okay, I'm getting activated right now. There is an anxiety, there's a heightened emotion, a heightened energy. What is causing this? What is causing this? And then dropping into a tool to support yourself in releasing it, and then dropping in a tool to regulate and to move beyond the anxiety, to move beyond the heightened emotions, the activations, the triggers. This is the power of working from the bottom up. This is the power of embodied self-awareness. Thank you so much for dropping in with me today. If you loved this episode, I would be forever grateful if you rated and reviewed. And if you feel called to share it with your community on social media, please tag me so I can thank you personally. Until next time, I will see you on Dropped In.